Our next speaker, well, he's led the creative for some of the world's most recognized brands. Nike, Lego, Starbucks. He's now founded his own storytelling shop, Tether. When not creating there, he's out proselytizing great branding and design worldwide. Today he'll tell us why a brand is like a person. Please welcome Stanley Hainsworth.
Excited to be here. There we go. Make sure it comes up. So each of us, when we got up this morning, we made a decision what to wear, how to style our hair. We make a decision in every moment what to say, the actions that we take. And that's how we're judged. I mean, a lot of us are strangers. When we walk in the room, we kind of check each other out. Why are you wearing a hat? I love that hat. And I wonder why you're wearing the hat. See, I wear a hat frequently too. Cover up this acreage I have on top of my head. So each of us we're putting a persona out there in the world. Brands are the same way. When each of us work on a brand or are with a brand, and the things that we put out there in the world, our products, our communication, everything that we put out there, that's how we're judged as a brand. I worked at Nike, Lego, and Starbucks for 20 years, and one of the things that they all had in common is that I worked with the founders. So I worked at Nike with Phil Knight and even Bill Bowerman in the early days that I was there, and then I worked at Lego with the grandson of the founder, and then at Starbucks I worked with Howard Schultz. And it's interesting working with the founder because they have all this tribal knowledge. They do things a certain way because that's what feels right to them. And sometimes it's hard for them to impart to everyone else why they're doing it that way. What's that? The presentation? It's like 2 gigabytes, so I can't. Let me just, was working, of course, right at the break. So let me, is it good? There we go. Yes? It's on this screen. There we go. Okay. So I can stop vamping now and get here. So Nike, Lego, and Starbucks. And I was at Lego working in Denmark. I was their global creative director there, and I was happy playing around at Legoland and building things with bricks and everything. And but then I was asked a recruiter contacted me about Starbucks, and it's like, oh, Starbucks, yeah, coffee, and what would I do there? And then that year, this article came out in Fast Company, and they had just bought Hear Music, so and the whole article was about thinking outside the cup, getting beyond just coffee, and all the vision, Howard Schultz's vision. So I was intrigued. In fact, I was intrigued enough to start thinking about Starbucks and my experience at Starbucks. At the time in Denmark, there weren't any Starbucks, so when I go to the UK or somewhere, I visit a Starbucks, and I think that's what started that thinking. Is Starbucks was has become like the English pub of the world. When there's a Starbucks in your community, in fact, like the Midwest, Middle America, when the Starbucks comes there, it's like, hey, we've arrived. We have a community center now, and that's where people gather for social purposes or work or all those things. And so, well, I went and interviewed, and it felt like a great place to work. And so I ended up taking the job there as their head of creative there. And so I started learning, like a lot of us. I went to the coffee origin countries, and I learned about coffee because I thought they were just the beans. I thought they were grew like peanuts on plants, and I didn't know anything about the cherry or anything of that. So I was starting from ground zero. But as we all have, and we've gone through that experience, and these are some of the pictures I took on my first trip, and getting to know the farmers and the impact it has on their community and the care that they take through the whole process of the growing, the drying, the roasting, and the tasting. But it wasn't until really I got back from the trip And one of the things I did is I worked in a Starbucks for a week. So I worked there, and I was making coffee, I was dumping out the grinds, I was cleaning the bathrooms, I was sweeping the floor. And in fact, I just moved from Denmark to Seattle, and the neighbors said, "Where do you work?" I said, "Starbucks." And they go, "Oh, okay." Well, they walked into the local Starbucks, and they saw me sweeping the floor, and they go, "Oh, Starbucks." But that was great because everyone at Starbucks is called a partner. And it doesn't matter if you're vice president of design or a barista. You're a partner and you're equal. And one of the things that really hit me was in the back room they had all these sheets of paper, and they had all these names on it. And like I said, Susie, cute little pink purse, tall non-fat latte. I said, "What's that?" And they said, "Oh, that's our 100 list. We've all vowed to memorize 100 customers and their names." And I thought, really? And I went back about 2 months later. I was looking for that list, and they said, "Oh, it's over here. It's the 200 list now." And that's when I started realizing that is one of the secrets of Starbucks, is that personal connection. In fact, when I was there, our brand promise was daily inspiration. So you go into Starbucks, your life isn't going to be changed, but someone might smile at you. Someone will call you by name. If they get to know you, they'll ask how your dog's doing or how your family's doing. So just making that moment better. And so as I worked in Starbucks and I saw that the line of people coming through the door, and then I saw people gathering for community group meetings. I saw people getting a little more relaxed at midday at Starbucks. And then kids come in after school and doing their homework, and then at night it becomes more of a social environment or a meeting environment. And how can we encapsulate all of that? So back to the founders, all that stuff's in their head. So created a brand book, Starbucks brand book, that was, this is who we are, and this is what we look like. This is how we come across. This is how we talk, and the 5 senses, smell, talk, act, and all that. So this is the Starbucks brand book that, of course, put out all the mandatories like type and color and all those things. But everything had that feeling of Starbucks. Every page, even like the color, these are the Pantone colors, but it feels like Starbucks. And one of the most useful things that we created were these 5 brand filters. Handcrafted, artistic, sophisticated, human, and enduring. Well, those are pretty generic words, but the secret is when you put them together. And everything that we created from a brand standpoint had to pass through those filters, and they had to have every one of those. So at the time, like Beavis and Butthead was big. So Beavis and Butthead, it's a kind of a crude cartoon, artistic, handcrafted, yeah, probably, but human, enduring, no. So everything that we had passed through that, we had these really great, and then from that we had started developing all this work that was, I guess, elevated. Like this is our Black Apron coffee, and we had an artist do these cut paper art of the 4 processes of the coffee growing, and then we sourced these out of, these were a small batch source, and so we had these love notes in there where we had the farmer, we talked about the farmer and the region, why it was special, and they're very giftable, and then even the bags, you can see that there's a story on those. So everything that we did had to reflect that story and have those 5 filters. And as we continued developing this work, everything from annual reports to posters in the store, we also made sure it translated across to like the video work and the advertising that we did. So go on. No. Hold on 1 second. And we'll make sure that this is HDMI, yes. Good. Try it again. Oh, there we go. We're going to tight it. But I told you about the 5 filters, and one of the fun things that we did is every quarter we would get all the work, we'd send all the work that we'd done to the different regions around the world, and we had them rate them according to those 5 filters, and we got closer and closer of everyone speaking the same language, instead of that thing like, I don't know, it doesn't feel like Starbucks to me. I don't like green. You know, the personal opinions that happen sometimes inside corporations. And so this was one of the highest rated things that we did. So this was a store closing notice, and it says, this thing we have together, it's bigger than this place, and these sorts of things happen. But they always seem to work out in the end. We can still see each other, it's just we'll have to meet elsewhere. So keep your chin up, because we'll be bumping into each other roast and love Starbucks. So you can see there's no image on here, and that was rated one of the highest things that we created from handcrafted, artistic, sophisticated human enduring. So it had that human connection. And then we did this, I don't know if you remember, during the holiday season, the red cups come out, so we stuck cups on top of cars. And when someone stopped you and said, hey, you left your coffee cup on top of your car, then we responded by giving them a Starbucks card for a free drink. So if you think of that barista customer relationship, it's that one-on-one relationship, and it got, of course, a lot of impressions because of that. And then one of the things, always being inspired by your customer, one of the things that happened was there in Riverside, California, there was a man in a blue truck going through the drive-thru, and they made the wrong drink, and he said, sorry, it's not my drink. And they said, oh, sorry, it was a white chocolate mocha. And so they made it for him, gave it to him, and no charge because we messed up. And so he said, that's so nice of you. Let me pay for the person behind me. And so he did that, and then each car in the drive-thru paid for the person behind them. There were 7 cars total. And the lady at the end, of course, was surprised and delighted by it. So we were inspired by that. We created these kindness cards. And inside the card, we told that story of the man in the blue truck. And then it says, our customers inspire us daily. Please accept a complimentary, whatever the drink of the season is. If you're as inspired as we are, we can pass along to a friend, even the person in line behind you, and to the gentleman in the blue truck, wherever you are. Thanks. So we had one holiday season for 12 hours. We had people buying drinks for each other in Manhattan. So you think of that, it's like, would that happen at a McDonald's or another quick serve restaurant type of place? So it speaks to the environment that Starbucks has created. And even when social media and others start having fun with Starbucks, I love this. You can look it up, Oracle of Starbucks. Astrologer's Lane, Myers-Briggs is for losers, the omniscient Oracle of Starbucks can tell you everything about your personality by entering your full drink. So I entered in tall soy, chai latte, and it says, in addition to being a hippie, you're a hypochondriac, health nut, you dabble in Wicca or other pseudo-religious, you change your sexual orientation a few times this year. So I love when your brand becomes part of the culture. Here's a little video that speaks to that.
As I travel around the world and meet partners, all of them who are working for our company, what I see in them, in their hearts, in their eyes, is the unbelievable level of enthusiasm they have for what it is we're doing. The legacy of Starbucks is not going to be how many stores we have, how many countries we're in. The legacy of Starbucks is the fact that we built the company the right way. We made a profit, we created a great environment for our people, and along the way, we gave back. We gave back to the communities we serve, we gave back to the coffee farmers who pick our coffee. And in every place that we've been, in every place that we've touched, we've tried to leave it a little bit better than the way we found it.
Starbucks.
interesting coffee from all over the world. So.
What a wonderful world.
So I thought I'd stay for a minute on the caffeinated. I'm not quite sure how much. I think I have like 5 minutes or so. Yeah. Okay. It says 0 since the beginning, so I went over time. There's a timer here. So this is a fun one because this is about caffeinated chocolate. We've all needed caffeinated chocolate for a long time. Isn't it interesting though that the caffeine word's an interesting one, and at Starbucks, as so we didn't ever use that word. I don't know if the other industries, the other companies, you speak to the you use euphemisms for caffeine. But here with the Wake chocolate, we're yelling it out there. So this is caffeinated chocolate. This bar equals 1 cup of coffee. And so what we did for this one is really create a personality. And of course, every brand, you have to know who your consumer is or who your aspirational consumer is. So as we started creating this brand, we thought of the consumer. We thought, university students, that might be good for this brand. So as we started creating it, you'll see that there's this owl. He plays a prominent role. His name is Neville. Neville the Owl. This is the brand book. The brand book has a lot of attitude about being awake. 2 pieces. You can take the stairs, write a book report, or wrestle an undersized badger. And then we did fun social media videos like this one.
That's right, friends. It's caffeinated chocolate. Yep, chocolate. With C-A-F-F-E-I-N-E. In bite-sized, notchable pieces, no less. 1 piece and you're ready to focus your mind. Subscribe to a magazine, or possibly return a phone call. 2 pieces and you're primed to beat 'em up. Stack kindling. Maybe even whip up a little tuna sandwich. 3 and kapow! Now you're ready to wrestle an undersized badger, study for midterms, or don't be surprised if you have the desire to jog all the way to Saskatchewan and back. And consuming a whole bar, test subjects have been known to read an entire novel in one sitting, happily embark on a 52-hour road trip, even take the GMAT and LSAT in the same day. Join the billions of fans all over North America who are giving 3 p.m. a feather. So,
I'll keep going. We did a lot of fun things with this, including when we first launched. We launched in Canada, now it's in the U.S. You can find the product at your grocery stores, and it'll be in all 7-Elevens this month as well. It's the fastest selling best-selling bar, no surprise, on college campuses. When we launched, we did a bus tour across Canada. We visited 40 universities. We recruited campus ambassadors, and we sent them ambassador kits. We put stuff up around campus to get people excited. Then we showed up with the bus. We did 1.5 million samples. Had Neville the Owl crowd surfing. We did contests. Take pictures of people asleep. Sleep is the enemy. And you can win snowboards, skateboards, jerseys. We're very active. We do all the social media as well. Neville likes to photobomb and show up everywhere to help people get more out of life. He's the biggest proponent of helping people get over the FOMO, fear of missing out. We sent the owner of the largest online shopping channel in Canada on vacation for a week, and then he curated all the product. We just launched granola, caffeinated granola. We've all wanted that, haven't we? That equals 1 cup of coffee, and we launched first in Walmart, and then it'll be in 7-Elevens. And here's 30 seconds of my 30 seconds of fame.
The chocolate bar costs $2.50, about $1 less than an energy drink.
This is an alternative to that Red Bull or that coffee.
Going to the hair for a second, did you get out of bed, have a chocolate, and then went, oh my God?
You know, I do what I can with what I have left.
I may go there unless it doesn't work in financial services.
That's right. So we came up with the name Awake, and we have the icon. You see the owl. Actually, I was creative director at Nike, Lego, and Starbucks for 20 years.
Okay, thank you.
Big round of applause, everybody. Man, you guys with hair just think you're so cool.
I would trade all this for a full head of hair.
Yeah, questions. I know there's some in here. Where am I running? Nobody has a question. I have a question then. I don't know if you keep a watch on kind of the explosion of small roasters coming up now. But if you do, has there been anybody whose marketing or branding strategy has really intrigued you or that you would tip your hat to?
Well, I think there's a lot of interesting things going on because the traditional model of advertising and all that is, has changed a lot with digital and all those things. So I think, a brand like Stumptown is doing a great job with their partnerships and alliances. They're, as you've seen, in Ace Hotel and with Shinola and others. So they're doing some nice partnerships that really, again, knowing who their target consumer is, that demographic, and how to go after them, how to align with them, and how to be where they are. And that's really one of the challenges. And I know, like Nespresso is a great example of a company that a home-based product, and then you go to the stores and wow, this is beautiful. And so it's that halo effect. So how do you Starbucks is another example. You go into the store and you have a good experience in the store, and then you go to the grocery store and you shop the aisle, but you still have memories of that, or the halo effect of that store there. So a lot of brands are starting to do that. And,
Any other questions? Okay.
Well, thank you very much.
all right. Thank you.